Anne tried to help many families whose daughters were victims of Asian on-street grooming.
Their daughters were 12 and 13-year-olds, and all of those offenders who were corrupting these girls were from, I'm afraid, the Pakistani community. And the reason that I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe the reason that neither the police nor social services would touch these cases, I was begging them. I was round at the police station virtually every week when I came up to Keighley. And I think it was they were afraid of being called racist.
There is a significant overrepresentation of Pakistani men in the on-street gang grooming, of which the majority of the girls that are groomed are white. So, you know, we as a community, if you like, have to be honest and open about that. We've all got a duty to tackle child abuse. But the difference is
You're heroic moderate for saying it. I'm a far-right hooligan.
Anne Cryer tried but failed to get her local mosque to talk to suspects' families.
I went to a friend of mine who was a local councillor, and he happened to be a Muslim, and therefore he was able to represent me to the elders, because I felt it was a good move to try to get those elders involved.
Yeah, it was a good move.
I hoped that I would be able to persuade the elders to go knocking on doors and say to them, this behaviour is un-Islamic and I want it to stop because I'm going to tell the whole community about you and what you're doing if you don't. Now, they weren't prepared to do that.
Acknowledging the problem with the community's response to the crimes is one thing. Introducing a possible reason linked to their faith is quite another.
There is a possibility for me that this is linked to Islam. Maybe it's not, but maybe it is. When you have in the Quran...
How can you say it's linked to Islam?
Because
on what basis? What's your evidence?
Okay, the Quran, you can take sexual slaves. You can take sexual slaves.
Whatever
you, outside of your four wives...
That you can take non-Muslim women as sexual slaves. I don't think you could find it.
It is nice to see you reading the Quran, though, I have to say.
It's obviously not making a difference, is it? Because you're still distorting it.
No, I'm not distorting. I'm reading it. If you fear that you not deal justly with the orphan girls, then marry those that please you of other women, 2, 3 or 4. If you fear that that will not be just, then take what your right arm possesses, i.e. slaves.
Where does it say sexual slaves?
Slaves, you can take...
No, where does it say sexual slaves? Where does it say sexual slaves? Don't distort it.
Well, maybe it's not me misrepresenting it. Maybe it's the groomers that are misrepresenting this. Would we all agree that these girls that have been targeted in these gangs are slaves, being treated like slaves? Can we agree?
Look, I think that is a very unhelpful way of tackling the issue.
They're being treated like slaves, and we have chapters in here that tell them it's OK to take non-Muslim women as slaves, and to me, that needs to be explored.
Tommy,
if that's not right, it says slaves.
Tommy, only a few weeks ago, we saw imams over 500 mosques deliver a sermon against grooming.
That's good.
OK? In 2002, when it started, when you dealt that very first case here in Keighley, they got 4 years. Now they're getting life sentences.
Do you think it has anything to do with the ideology behind the fact that under Sharia, as soon as a girl starts puberty, she's fair game, yeah?
No,
now,
absolutely not.
Yes, it is.
A Muslim man, for example, cannot have sex outside of marriage, cannot marry somebody who is not a consenting adult, and can certainly not commit any of these offences. Islam is utterly, utterly against grooming, child abuse, any form of abuse against any individual.
Like Tommy, Anne thinks the Muslim community could have done much more to tackle the groomers.